Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Shilpa Data Insights.
I've never been in a comfort zone in data engineering. Like, if I have thought that okay, Hadoop MapReduce Pig Hive, I know this, I am set for my life. But in 4 5 years now, like no one even asks for that. If you are a 10 years person, then you have two options. First of all, you need to decide whether you need to be an IC, that is individual contributor, or you basically we check like how do they think on the toe, and how do they approach a situation when thrown a problem. Do they think about scale, future scale? Do they plan for the data that even they do not know? So if these 5 keywords are there in the resume, or even 3 to 4 keywords are there in the resume, we used to clear it and the interview process used to start. But now what's happening is, like, I think the market trend as of today is number of years of experience into 5x, especially in data engineering. That is what I have seen. So if you are 10 years of experience, I think you should be around that. Every stage of an engineer, you need to prioritize what is important for you. Is learning important for you? Is earning important for you? Or career progression is important for you? One suggestion what I give is, like, whenever you join a new company or a new team, first have a discussion with your manager. Try to understand the top 3 pain points he or she has, and try to solve at least 1 or 2 pain points in the initial 3 months.
Hi Shashwat Shenoy, welcome to my channel and thank you so much for coming into this podcast as our special guest. And we are really delighted to invite you, and your advice, guidance, and also your point of view related to the data engineering will really help our audience. So before we start, I would like you to introduce to our audience and then we will go further from there.
Sure, Shilpa. First of all, thanks for inviting me. I think hopefully I'll be able to give some insights which will be helpful to a lot of people. So thanks for giving that opportunity. So yeah, my name is Shashwat Shenoy, and I have a total of 15 years of experience. Basically, I'm based out of Bangalore, India, and I started my journey in 2010. I'm an MCA pass out 2010, and Cognizant was the initial company that I started with. I started off as a Java developer initially. Then in 2012, I made the switch to Hadoop and big data. So that is where my, like, that time it was just big data and Hadoop. There was no data engineering or data engineer or any such terms. So it was just big data and Hadoop. And back then we were working in tools like MapReduce, Hive, Pig, Uzi, and all such stuff. Then gradually after that, I moved to Genpact in 2014. That was a very short stint. And then I made a switch to Adobe. So in Adobe, I worked across various products like Adobe Campaign, Adobe Experience Platform, Adobe Analytics. I was there with Adobe for 6 years, so that was a good experience. And since it had been a decade for me, like in service-based MNCs, then product-based MNCs, I wanted to take something up that is unique, a bit of challenging, exciting at the same time. So that's where I decided to join a startup, gaming startup, and that was Junglee Games. So I was there for 3 years, and that helped me a lot from a learning perspective, from a career progression perspective, and a lot of opportunities I gained through that. And now it's been a year since I joined Nielsen. So currently I'm working as a senior engineering manager, and it's great. Like as you know, the domains that I've interacted with over the years, it has been great. Like banking and financial domain, healthcare domain. Then in Adobe, we had various domains like media, anything, whatever you want to tell. And Jungly Games was more of a gaming domain. And now this is the audience measurement. So it has been a great experience. And also from a tech stack perspective as well, like as I mentioned, started off with Hadoop, MapReduce and all. Then in 2015, it was more into Spark, Scala, and then in 2018-19 is where the cloud computing burst happened, initial burst, and that is where I got a chance to start working with AWS, and then Databricks and everything. And now, yeah, with AI and all that stuff, it's really exciting. So that was my journey.
That's actually a great journey. Like you have started the data engineering from a scratch where like people would not be knowing nowadays, like there are so much of buzzword, but it's
Yeah.
great to hear from you. Like you have learned, you have not learned, you have experienced so much. Like it's really great to know. So like I will have a lot of questions for this. So which is the best phase that was there in your career?
Yeah, I think there were a couple of phases, but if I have to say the best phase, I think it would be Junglee Games, because Junglee Games was something that where I got an opportunity, where the leaders, right, the executive leadership and all that, they gave me an open ground, and they told me that it's up to you that if you want to walk in that ground, run in that ground, or fly in the ground. So there was nothing like in the paper that you have to do this, you have to do that. They were very open and a lot of flexibility, even from a tech perspective. Our ideas were heard, and it was a great challenge for me as well, because I was asked to build a team there. So when I joined Jungly Games, it was more, I think, sixth or seventh person. But then when I left, it was around 30 to 35 team. So it was a great experience, like mentoring so many people, interacting with them during the interview, seeing their journey, and also the challenges, like we used to work with clickstream data, and gaming is obviously like huge amount of data. So I think that was one of my best phase, and I learned a lot.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Okay, one question I came to my mind here. So as you said, Jungle Games was a like best phase that you had. You learned a lot, but it's a startup that when you joined, right? Now it's a big company also, like as you grow. Now, what is the basic difference that you figured out, like in startup and product based? Most people want to work in a product base, which is a well-established product base, but people don't want to go to startup. But what would be your advice? What did you feel like this is best in startup, which you may not get in product base?
Yeah, I think one of the main difference is the time it takes. Like one example I can give is like in product-based MNCs, like especially in data engineering, we are aware that there are a lot of tools and technologies. There is no one particular path that, okay, we have to solve this business problem using these tools and technology. So there are various options. So if you're picking a particular tool and then you realize, no, I can explore this tool as well. So doing a POC, getting a approval, and then working on it, that's pretty fast in a startup environment. But whereas in product MNC, it happens, but it takes some time because there are certain level of approvals. So I feel that was one thing. That's why I mentioned the flexibility. Like we are given that flexibility to choose the tools and technologies. Obviously, we have to come up with the cost perspective, the performance perspective, and everything. But once we have that data, I think the support was always there, and it was really quick turnaround. So I think that is one thing that is really important from a data engineering perspective, because even in, like as I mentioned, every 4 5 years I have been learning new tools. It's not, I've never been in a comfort zone in data engineering. Like if I have thought that, okay, Hadoop MapReduce Pig Hive, I know this, I am set for my life. But in 4 5 years now, like no one even asks for that. And same with Spark, AWS, like there are so many competing tools. So I think it's really important as a leader and as a senior in the team to know the current trend of the market, like what's going on, what is helpful, how will this help my team, how will this help my organization. So I guess that flexibility is really important. So I feel this was one of the one difference that I felt.
Okay, okay, that's great. So if someone is a fresher and he or she wants to join an organization, for that he is preparing. So what skill set should he or she tick mark that these I really need to join an organization?
Yeah, so as a fresher, like Shilpa, if I say very honestly, I feel sad. Like recently, the expectations that has been humongous from recruiters, from managers. Because few years back, even we, including we, used to just see the SQL, the programming, problem solving. That is what we used to look for. But nowadays, the competition is so fierce that even in third year, fourth year, people are working on Spark, cloud, and everything. So I think as of today, if you ask me as a fresher, I think it would be SQL. It will be one programming language. Recommendation would be Python. Although Scala and Java is also good, but when you see from a job opportunity perspective, and when you don't have so much time, then Python gives you a broader opportunities. So I would suggest to go with the Python programming, and then Spark or Databricks, because Databricks has also gained a lot of market adoption in the past couple of years, and Spark is the heart of data engineering. So that is really important. And one cloud computing tool, either AWS, Azure, or GCP. I think all three are doing good. And one orchestration tool, Apache Airflow. I think as a data engineer, it's really important for you to orchestrate the things that you do on a day-to-day basis. And one data warehouse tool. I know it's a lot to ask from a fresher, but given the competition and the market situation, I think this is will be a good start.
Right, because there's a huge number of tools that you mentioned, right? So for a
Yes,
fresher who wants to join, it will be overwhelming for them to like start with and
yes,
may get direction less, right? So yeah,
yes,
these are the tools which are required, as you mentioned. So now if
yes.
in case someone already have a 10 years of experience, right?
Hmm.
They definitely need to have these skills because fresher will be having it. But what other skill set a 10 years experience person need to know?
Yeah, so if you're a 10 years person, then you have two options. First of all, you need to decide whether you need to be an IC, that is individual contributor, or you want to get into management. So you have two paths here. If you decide into an IC, then the level of roles that you can target around 10 years is like lead data engineer, staff data engineer, principal data engineer, or technical architect, and all that. So here you need to understand that you will be the single point of contact from a technical perspective. So it will be for the team, it will be for the organization. You might also be responsible to decide the roadmap for the coming years and how it is. You have to understand the scale, you have to keep the cost and performance in balance. So I think in that case, what as an 10-year experience, you need to understand the various tools and technologies, because in some situation you might also be the single point of contact from a client perspective. Like you might go to a client and offer them certain consulting opportunities or services, or even speak about a product. So I think if you are going on an IC role, then expectations will be huge, and you need to be more technical. So I guess that is where the path will lead you to. So my suggestion would be to whatever, like in data engineering, right? Usually it's more of a data extraction, data storage, data transformations, data loading, how the downstream team interacts with the data. So you need to you be in a position where if you are choosing, like for example, you are choosing Snowflake for a particular use case. If someone questions your decision, you need to be in a position to defend that the choice that you have made, the design choice that you have made, why you're going with Snowflake and why not Redshift or why not other things. Just an example I'm giving. So I guess that level of knowledge, that expertise would be expected from a 10-year person. Whereas in a management, I think along with this, I think the additional responsibility would be, see, once you get into management and leadership, right? You do not have to solve only your problems. You have to solve your team problems as well. You have to make sure that your team is successful. That is when you will be successful. So people management, stakeholder management, then cross team collaboration. I think that is where you need to focus more on, along with the technical side. I think comparatively in management, it won't be expected that you code daily, but you need to be technically hands-on. That is when if your team is stuck or they are looking for some advice or some guidance, you should be in a position to at least guide them. So I think this is where we can start.
Yeah, because it has more expectation if you have more years of experience. So let's
Yes.
say if someone already have a 10 years of experience and they want to shift to a managerial, like instead of individual contributor, and what kind of path they should follow? How do they get a direction that will lead to a managerial kind of a role?
Yeah. So first of all, you need to accept that reality that once you're getting into management, you are okay with people management. You're okay with the appraisal cycles. You're okay with the career growth of any number of people that will be with you. So that you have to accept the reality first. And once you accept that, then most of the times it will be 60 to 70% of the time will be spent in stakeholder management, getting the requirements, understanding, planning the capacity, and all that managerial stuff, leadership stuff that happens. and 20-30% of the time it will depend on you, like how you want to spend it too. One thing what you can do is you can do a POC, you can explore a new tool, you can do a POC, set it up, and then hand it over to the team. So I think this is a very good, what you say, a mix that as a manager one can expect.
Okay, okay. That's actually good way to go into. Now, if I talk about the interview thing, right? Freshers have a different level of interviews and experience also have a different level of interview. So, if you can give a brief what freshers are asked normally these days and what experienced person of 10 years person need to answer the same question.
Yeah, I think it depends on the team, like how they plan the interviews. And ideally for a fresher, right, the more focus should be on problem solving, as I mentioned, querying and programming. This should be rock solid. If the foundation is strong from a fresher perspective, then learning the tools and technologies is not challenging. They will learn it on the fly or during the work in initial 1 or 2 months. But as I mentioned, the competition is so fierce nowadays that even freshers are expected to know certain things. So I think now the more focus will be on even on LLD, HLD, like few of the companies ask freshers like less than 2-3 years experience candidates are being asked HLD questions, LLD, like high level design, low level design, which was not needed in data engineering a few years back. But now these are all coming into it. So I think even as a fresher, you need to understand these things, and the more you know, it's better. Because nowadays, even from resume perspective and other things, right, there are a lot of ATS tools. Your resume will cross the ATS, whatever happens. But once you are in the interview, then it's all you. So whatever you're writing in that resume, you need to make sure that you are able to convince the interviewer that yes, you know all this. So I think as a fresher, I think basics, foundations, and add-ons. Like even I am a hiring manager, I do hire people. If I'm hiring a fresher or a less experienced person, my expectations are not so high. If they meet all this, these are all like good to have, like Spark and all that. It's good to have. If they don't have, it's fine. At least the foundations are strong, right? So I think that is really good. And from a senior perspective, I think mainly what we see is how they are able to mentor and how they are able to debug certain problems. Because see, when you are called a senior, you need to bring something to the table, right? There should be a stark difference between a 6 to 10 year engineer to 1 to 5 year engineer. So basically, we check like how do they think on the toe, and how do they approach a situation when when thrown a problem. Do they think about scale, future scale? Do they plan for the data that even they do not know how it is? How do they design the solution? And I think technical proficiency as well. Like 1 to 5, we just ask like medium Spark questions, medium all that, whatever tools and technologies. But at a senior level, we expect advanced, like how do you do this or how we can change this. So that is where the difference lies, and it also depends on the hiring team and the manager how they decide this interview process. That is how you can hire the perfect candidate.
Okay. I'm actually a little bit sad to hear that freshers are given so much of pressure nowadays in order to clear
Yeah.
an interview. I can understand for experience, literally, you will require these skills and definitely you
Yes.
will need to run a team. But for fresher, it becomes a huge responsibility as well that you need to know. But they can actually grasp easily, I think so. It's better for them. So if you, as you talked about the system design, HLD and LLD, right? Do you recommend any book or any blog from which data engineers can learn system design?
Yeah, I think there are various. I think I how I learned system design in my days is using Gaurav Sen, the playlist, YouTube playlist. I think he's the OG of system design. There are many people, but see, as a learner, right, you always connect with few people. The way they teach, the way they explain concepts. So I always feel that Gaurav Sen is the best from a system design perspective, because the way he explained, like even I remember the first time I learned system design was Twitter, and it was my luck or I don't know, but I was asked the same question in one of the companies. So I think that would be my suggestion. And also, like, see, whenever whatever you do in your day-to-day life, right, as an engineer, you need to be curious and more proactive. Like, if you're using an app, if you're using Swiggy, Zomato, how does this happen? How does it happen? So that thinking and that curiousness is really important. And actually, what I used to do is, like, if I used to use certain website or anything, I used to think how the data processes, how they are able to bring this. I used to think, okay, this might be how they are doing it. And then I used to come home and then Google and see, okay, this is how these tools, these technologies and this. So I think curiousness inside you also, that also will is really necessary.
Yeah, I think that's very important point you mentioned, because if you're not curious to even know how the system is working, you will not, never come to know how exactly it's working, right?
Right.
So rather than fundamentals, I think it's a broader scale that you have to visualize, right? That's what you were trying to say. Okay, so
Yes.
in this case, like you have worked with startups, service based, and then Adobe. So the interview process is very different in all the companies, right? So if you can tell me few points how service-based interviews goes and what are the rounds, and for product-based, for example, Adobe, what interview process is there?
Yeah, I think product-based and startups are pretty much the same. Only difference I've heard is, like, in few of the companies they give take-home assignments. So that is one thing. But usually I think the initial round will be mostly on querying and programming, because these companies, right, first they want to check whether your foundations are strong. And I keep telling this to all the people who try for some guidance from my side as well, that see, some people, right, they make this mistake. Data engineering, they know in and out, but still they're not able to clear the interviews. Why? Because they neglect SQL and programming. They feel that, yeah, it will happen, chalta hai, it will go on, we will be able to manage. But no, nowadays, like, people are expecting more from you. So even before coming to a data engineering interview, you will be evaluated on SQL and programming. So that usually those are the rounds. And in product based and startups, I think the second round is usually the system design round, where some companies use the like the engineering system design round itself, like design a system like Twitter, design a e-commerce platform or something like that. But some companies use data engineering pipeline design. Like, they'll give you a use case, they will give you tell you that this is the volume of data, this is the use case, what is the tools, what are the tools and technologies that you would use in this use case and why. So they'll question your design choices, they'll question the key components that you have chosen. So this kind of system design, usually, like in data engineering, this is how it has to happen. But I am aware of few companies that they ask, like, this, like designing an application itself, which I feel is not right, because as a data engineer, you need to know the data pipeline, how you design the data warehouse, how you design the data lake, delta lake, and all that. But knowing the application, I think it's okay. But yeah, I feel that it's not needed, but it's happening right now. So that is one thing. And after that, then there will be one round of data engineering. That will be pure data engineering. Spark or Databricks will always be there. In addition to that, the tools and technologies that you have mentioned in your resume, so they will be asking and evaluating you on that. And then usually there will be a hiring manager round, which is more of a project discussion, the fitment round, your expectations, and all that. So that is how it is. In service-based companies, I think I think even now they have even started for asking for programming, querying, and all that. Even in service-based companies, I've heard that from few people. And then I think it's more on the. I think system design is not there in most of the service-based companies. I'm not sure if now they have started it or not, but I have not heard about it. And then it's data engineering. I think in service-based companies mostly it's 2 or 3 rounds, not more than that.
Okay. So as you have been in the hiring, you are a hiring manager as well, right? So
Mm.
what does hiring manager usually looks for in a candidate before hiring, right? Because there are so
Yeah.
many resumes you get, but you have to select one or two for that particular vacancy.
Yes, yes. So initially, what used to happen is, like, we used to see the resume. We used to see those 5 keywords. Like, if we want SQL, Python, Spark, AWS, Airflow. So if these 5 keywords are there in the resume, or even 3 to 4 keywords are there in the resume, we used to clear it and the interview process used to start. But now what's happening is, like, as I mentioned, there are n number of tools, n number of ATS compliant tools, AI and all that. Everyone all the resumes are ATS compliant now. So we get a lot of resumes. So now what we do is like we see the keywords and we see how they have used that in the projects. So if someone is mentioning Airflow, if someone is mentioning Spark, how they have used that tool in the project, how they are mentioning, because it gives us a fair idea like has this person actually used it, or it's just that they have done a course. I'm not saying that doing a course and coming it's wrong. It's absolutely fine. My philosophy is that if you have done a course, it's fine, but at least you have the technical knowledge. If you're telling something, be able to prove it during the interview. So I think that is one thing from a resume perspective. And once into the interviews, nowadays, like I think it's pretty common if you open LinkedIn, then everyone is sharing the interview questions. My friend, I all experience, everyone is sharing the interview questions. So the standard questions do not work because candidates prepare well for it. So usually what I do and even what I suggest my team is to ask the real world problems, like what we are facing in our team, what problems we are facing, what problems we are trying to solve. Ask those questions in the interview, and you never know, you might get one solution from any of the candidate. So that is the usual the interview process that we follow. We try to keep it very original, and we also make sure that the candidate has a good experience in that.
Okay. Yeah, because if they are able to answer your real world use case, then definitely that candidate is fit for that particular role. So
Yes.
that's a very good strategy, I think, a hiring manager can have. And it's very difficult for students, but in that case, you can actually select or reject a person for that role. That's really
Yeah.
nice. Now, if, as you said, courses, right? So you have certifications. So they are for Azure and so many certifications, right? People goes on with all the certifications, they have it in the resume, but how much weightage does it have in an interview if you have already done some certifications?
See, in few companies, they have certification as mandatory. So you need to target such job opportunities where you feel certification is mandatory. In some, most of the job opportunities, they say it's good to have. And as a hiring manager, I think I do not give so much weightage for certifications. Main reason is because of the experience that I have had. Initially, like few years back, we used to get resume that are certified 5x, 10x, AWS certified, Azure certified, Databricks certified. But in the interview, they are not able to answer basic questions. So that is when like we realized that certifications are good. See, people need to understand that certifications are. I'm not saying don't do certifications at all. Do it, but when you do certifications in parallel, do hands-on as well. Because certifications, right, it prepares you for a certain set of questions, certain set of scenarios, which it might or may not be possible in a real world scenario. So it's more of a like testing you in a 3 hour process, giving you multiple options, trying to confuse you. It's good, but it's not mandatory. That would be my conclusion for certifications. That just don't depend on certifications. If you're planning for certifications, good. It's a good thing, but expecting that since you are certified, you will get the job, no. You have certification, you do not have certification. Ultimately, how you perform in the interview, that matters.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that because people run after certification, as you said, 10x and all. So that
Yeah.
becomes very difficult. Like, I think certifications are also built in such a way that it just have a small use case that you are trying to solve, right? It doesn't have the complete real world use cases as well.
Yes.
So maybe that's the reason also. So in this, you have a lot of domains you have worked with, right? So which is the challenging domain that you think that it's very difficult to work or very challenging?
I think every domain is difficult because see, as a data engineer, right, initially what used to happen is we were more from a data perspective. Like, and I don't blame anyone, but that is how it has been over the years. That till you are 5 to 6 years, right, you think more from a data perspective. Once you are at the senior level, that is when you have to think from a business perspective. And that is where the domain knowledge comes into the picture. Now, if you have the domain knowledge, that adds to your seniority and you can solve further problems. Like even from a data engineering perspective, our day-to-day life activity is just building a pipeline. the BAU activities, business as usual activities. We get a request, we have to extract the data, we have to build a pipeline, provide the data to the downstream. But once you are at a senior person, you need to understand the business domain, like what kind of problems we can solve with this data. What is the one of the top three problems that the client is facing? So I think each and every domain has been very challenging for me. I think starting from banking and financial domain, that was the initial domain that I interacted with. But that time, like as I mentioned, right, it was initial 2 3 years, so not much about domain. We were more focused on technical, but I had some knowledge of that. Then healthcare domain, that was also a very good thing. Like from a pharmaceutical perspective, like how patients' data, health data, and how the data is like every time, right, when we create a data lineage or we create a data dictionary, we have two type of definitions. One is the technical definition and one is the business definition. So that is really important. So I think that was also helpful. And yeah, I think if I have to say the most challenging one, I think I would say gaming and the current one, the audience measurement. I think these two are like very niche domains and very interesting domains, because the use cases that you feel, you may think that, okay, I have worked in this for 2 3 years, now I know in and out of it. But every now and then there comes a edge case, there comes a scenario where you feel, oh, this is something new, let's deep dive into this.
Yeah, that's so true actually, because yeah, and is it necessary for someone who has maybe 3 to 5 years of experience to have a domain knowledge?
No, not necessary, but it's good to have, because at that level, right now, see, with the Gen Z and other people coming up into the industry now, the expectations are higher. Few years back, the traditional way was, okay, you work for 2 3 years, then you will get promoted. You work for another 2 3 years, then you get promoted. But nowadays, when I have one-on-ones with people, right, people who have joined just 6 months, 1 year back, they ask for a career progression. They ask, what's the future? What exciting are we building? What is our roadmap for 3 months, next 3 months, next 6 months, because they want to be challenged. And I feel bad that why I was not so curious when I was at that time. We were like, I don't remember also if we used to have one-on-ones also. So it's really great. So I think we have to be on our toes, and it's really great working with everyone.
Yeah, because I think from Gen Zs or the people who have just passed out, we also learn a lot. Like even if we have 10 years of experience, they also teach us a lot, right? As you
Yes.
said, they start questioning, and so it will help senior engineers as well to do that. So that's actually very good point. But is it difficult to handle Gen Zs in the work?
No, I think you have to be balanced. Like as I told, right, they don't follow the traditional way. Like as we work on sprint basis, right? One sprint they have good work, other sprint they have okay work. It's fine. But 2 3 sprints go, they do not have challenging work. Then they start to raise questions.
Yeah.
That, okay, I am doing the same monotonous work. I am not feeling challenged. So I was curious to know, like, will I get something to do from scratch or something like that? So
It's really good because, yeah, if they are curious and they want to do something challenging, and it's really good for the company as well. So that
yes.
so nowadays there's so much offers people get for when they have resigned. They have multiple offers, right?
Mm.
And they are not running after money, but they want a good amount as compensation, which is worth their value. So, what do you think for a fresher? What should be the maximum range? And for like 10 plus years, what should be the maximum range most companies provide in terms of CTC?
Yeah, I think the market trend as of today is number of years of experience into 5x, especially in data engineering. That is what I have seen. So if you are 10 years of experience, I think you should be around that 50. That is the bare minimum. Above that, well and good. And yeah, there is no limitation in data engineering. I think you can demand the salary or the compensation you want if you prove in the interview that you are the best or you are good enough. So there is no upper range in data engineering, especially for fresher. It's a bit tricky because it depends again in a, if it's looking for a service-based company or product-based company or startup. What I've seen is in product-based company and startups, again, there is no minimum range as well. Usually they start from 20 LPA to 40 LPA. And also, I think if anyone is looking, if see, every time to my team and into my mentees also, I say these things. At every stage of an engineer, you need to prioritize what is important for you. Is learning important for you? Is earning important for you? Or career progression is important for you? So initial years, obviously, many people will say learning is important for me. So that time you have to learn, because the initial years of your career will build the foundation. Based on that, you will know like where you are reaching, how you are reaching, when you will reach. So once you pass that phase, 5 to 10 years is where people prioritize earning, because now they know the skills, they know some foundation, they want to earn more. That is when earning becomes a priority. And then later is when like career progression, stability, and all that comes. That usually what I've seen is 10 plus and everything. So that is where the you have to make that decision. And whenever like in the calls, people ask me like, how do I decide when do I need to switch? So that time I just tell them, you see, no one can tell you when you need to switch, when you need to look for other companies. You have to know your priorities. If you are learning in the current job, well and good. That is what you're looking for. Okay, stay in the company. If you say I'm learning, but at the same time I want to earn as well, then you have to know your priorities.
Right. I think you have divided this very step by step. I think no one has told in this way to me as well. So I would say this will really help the audience how to prioritize things and what compensation to actually go for companies. So now the data engineer is in a boom right now. Not only data engineer, anything which is related to data. Now AI comes, right? Everything is now messed up. Like they don't know what to do. And what do you think in AI? How to leverage AI? Is it a risk for data engineers in coming futures because of AI?
I think that's a very famous question and popular questions nowadays. But what I can say is at least data engineering is won't be affected much from the AI boom, at least not for the next couple of years. Main reason being, so the decade, let's go one by one. The 2000 to 2010 was a decade where people were exploring data. That is when big data came into the picture. A lot of data was there. People were, okay, so huge data, how do we process? That is where big data, Hadoop, Spark, all that came. 2010 to 2020s, we got the tools. We identified the tools through which this so volume of data we can process. And in the later part of the decade, there was a lot of data. So now the problem is that it's not that we do not have the data. We have a lot of data, but we are also getting the bad data. So now the priority is on the quality of data. So this decade will more be on a data governance. Like even for an AI, right? Like I think recently I read somewhere that chat gpt and all those, right, the number one sources for them is Reddit. Like we think that okay, chat gpt knows everything, but the number one source for chat gpt is Reddit. And how does data come into Reddit? Through you, me, everyone else who post our questions, who answers the questions. So the data quality, I think that will be of utmost priority in this decade for all the AI models, all the rags, everything, whatever you say, models and everything. I think data governance, data quality, data lineage, all this will be of utmost priority. And that is prepared by the data engineering team. So how you present that data, how do you handle the technical definition of the data, how do you handle the business definition of the data, how do you make sure that all the validation checks are clear and everything. So I think data engineering is going to be the heart of the AI ecosystem. If not directly with the AI, at least it will be at the center of the AI. And yeah, I'm not saying that it will not be affected at all with from AI. It will be affected. Basically, like some of the tasks that we are doing, it might be automated. There are already certain tools that are helping, like we have Dreamio, we have Airbyte, we have DBT. Then even from an AI perspective, the data quality, like we can have validation checks in place with the help of AI. So I would say that that if instead of having 20 data engineers, there might come a possibilities where we might need 10 data engineers. But it's not that the other 10 data engineers will be out of work. Those 10 data engineers will focus on other important things, which will be helpful for the team, which will be helpful for the organization.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that you explained it very like beautifully, because data engineers feel like their jobs will not be there maybe after 5 years. But if you think if there's some skills related to AI that data engineers should also learn. Is there any
Mhm.
skills of AI they should also learn to be safer side for next 5, 10 years?
Yeah, I have say I've heard and I've read also that lot of Gen AI courses, lot of AI courses for data engineers. But see, at the end of the day, right, we as data engineers, we don't have to get into the intrinsic internals of this. Like
Hmm.
a data engineer need not know how does RAG work.
Hmm.
Data engineer does not need to know how many tokens are generated and everything, because as data engineers, we'll just be building the pipeline again. That is what AI engineers, or that is what those people will do. So as a data engineer, again, I would tell this, it would be equivalent to the CI/CD, Dockers, Kubernetes, and all that. Because here also, most part of it is handled by the DevOps. But you need to know at least high level
Hmm.
of how do you do CI/CD, what is Docker, what is Kubernetes, how to launch a pod, how to containerize my jobs. So same way in the AI path also, you need to understand how to integrate it with the AI. Like if there are LLMs, if there is RAG, if there is other things, how to build the pipeline, how we can integrate with AI. So from a data engineer perspective, you need to know how to make this work. How that is working, I think that won't be a priority for data engineer. But again, IT is a very funny field. Everything changes every 4 5 years. So don't quote me for this, but this is my opinion.
Yeah, because you are the best example. You have seen a decade
Yeah.
and you have gone through complete phase of it. But I'm curious to know, like, in these 15 years, it's very difficult to learn so many technologies because every
Mhm.
3, 4 years it's changing. So how did you cope up with that, with your work, with your life, and then you are learning so many things? How did you cope up?
Yeah, I think that has been one question that most people ask me. You have to compromise on one thing, one or the other thing. I don't like promote this, but yeah, I compromised on my sleep. So I sleep only 5 hours a day. So that is where I compromise, because it takes a lot of effort, and it takes a lot of time. And as of now, in parallel, I'm also doing EPGD, that is Executive Post Graduate Diploma course with the IIT Bombay. So even that also takes some time from me. And then I also have to look into the official commitments that I have in Nielsen. And apart from that, I also do mentoring, and through TopMate, and through other things. And I also kind of create content in Medium, LinkedIn, other social media platforms. So it's challenging. It's not been easy, but yeah, you have to compromise somewhere, because you just have 24 hours a day. And yeah, Monday to Friday, like I have a 9 year old daughter, so I spend most of the time during the weekends. So at least on Saturday, Sundays, I make sure that I don't have any official calls, I don't have any mentorship calls or anything like that. I make sure that I devote some time for her. And yeah, as I mentioned, like in data engineering, right, I have never been in that comfort zone. Every 2 3 years, I have been challenged. I have been asked to take up projects where the technology is new or something is new. And I don't know, it has been a luck for me, or it has been the way that I have been working. So every time a new tool technology comes, I have to go through it. I have to understand it. Need to know the internals. So I try to keep up myself updated. So in LinkedIn, I follow certain people, so my feed is very clear, crisp. So even though I am spending time in LinkedIn, I am going through very important things, latest tips, technologies, or what's happened in the field. And I read technical articles through Medium, which are really good. So that helps me and keeps me updated. And I'm part of certain communities where people share their knowledge, they share their journey, they share how they have solved a particular use case, how did they approach it. And so all that helps a lot. So yeah, I think this is how I manage.
That's actually very smart way, and you have actually, yeah, done a sacrificed it and did your 24 hours. I would say, like, everyone has that question, where do you get time? So everyone has that
Yeah.
24 hours, but you have smartly divided it, and you are doing so many things. So I think audience will get inspired, and they will not think we have just 24 hours a day. So
Yeah.
that's really nice. So now if I talk about just few advice that you would like to
Mm.
give. to a fresher who want to join to a data engineer, and
Hmm.
few advice who are already in this field but struggling to keep up the pace of the evolving technology?
I think as a fresher, right, I would stick to the same advice, that is foundations. Your sequels, your programming, the problem solving ability, how do you approach a problem? I think that is what is needed. See, tools and technologies come and go. Even in data engineering, tools have come, but SQL has still stayed. Programming has still stayed. Data modeling is still there. Then other governing principles are still there. So those are things that will never change. So foundations is something that I would recommend a fresher, because that is the time where they have a lot of energy, lot of curiosity, and they want to learn certain things that challenge them, that excite them. So for a fresher, I would still stay with that. Make your foundation strong. Once you are confident, once you evaluate yourself that, okay, out of 5, I can rate myself 4 in SQL, in Python, in other problem solving, other things, then obviously you can start with if you are looking into data engineering, then Spark you can start with. You can just deploy it in your local system, play around with it. Then cloud computing, you can always create a free account in AWS Azure, play around it, use the services. From a data engineering perspective, I think at max you need to know only 15 to 20 services, not more than that for a cloud computing. So I think this is what I would recommend for a fresher. And for a senior, again, I would say that always look ahead. Like I always say that data quality is of priority. So one suggestion what I give is, like, whenever you join a new company or a new team, first have a discussion with your manager. Try to understand the top 3 pain points he or she has, and try to solve at least 1 or 2 pain points in the initial 3 months. So that is how you build visibility. That is how you build trust with your manager. Once that trust is built, then you can always do wonders about that. So as a senior, I would suggest this first approach, and then think forward. Like if you are already a senior, then you might be a architect in the future. You might be a chief data architect or chief data or a CTO as well. Because if you are an IC path, then CTO is the ultimate goal for you. I would say think future, like when you're designing a solution, think like if this scales 10x tomorrow, how will this system be able to handle? Think from a downstream perspective, like if this is the pipeline I'm running, this is the data I'm getting. As a downstream user, visualize the data. Okay, my requirement is this. Is this data coming correctly? If not, how do I proactively solve it? Because see, there should be a difference between a senior and a junior, right? Because if there is no difference, then I think you are not bringing anything to the table. That is where your career progression will be slow. That is when you will think that, okay, I am not doing much, how do I progress further? So you need to look for these solutions. You need to identify those issues in the team or in the organization, and if you feel that that doesn't lie, then look for another organization.
Yeah, that's a different story altogether. But yeah,
Yeah,
when you are in an organization, yeah, you have to look for the pain points, which I really love this advice. I think every experienced person need to hear this advice and implement in their company, right? It will help them as well to grow, and it will help the company as well because they are solving something. So which
absolutely.
which I really loved. And for freshers, it is always true, whatever you explained. So
Yeah.
thank you so much. Anything else you would like to share? Please feel free to share.
Yeah, I think just one parting advice that I would give, like many freshers, I get a lot of DMs, I get a lot of requests, and everyone has the same question, that I am prepared SQL, I have prepared programming, I have also done few courses, still I am not getting a job. What should I do? What I am doing wrong? So even I share my experience. See, I am a MCA 2010 pass out. I passed out in June, and I got a job in November. So July, August, September, October, 4 months. It took 4 months for me. But those 4 months, I put in all my hard work, my dedication, and everything, which I didn't do during when I was studying. So if a person like me can do it, I think anyone can do it. It's just that you have to be consistent. Opportunities will come. It might take some time, but your responsibility is when that opportunity comes, you grab it with both your hands. And in the current situation, I think it's very rare. And now we are in December, so I think it's holiday season. So most of the US based companies, already the hiring freeze is there. So you will get less number of calls, you will see less number of opportunities. Please don't be disheartened. Don't feel that, okay, it's not going anywhere. Just be patient. It might take a month, it might take 2 months, it might take 3 months, but it will happen for sure. Just don't be discouraged that, okay, nothing is happening, so I will look for something else. Time box your journey. So that would be my advice to everyone.
Thank you so much. I think the last advice was the best advice, not the best advice, but one of the most important advice I would say that you shared. And I really loved it as well. I hope the audience would resonate to it. And thank you for motivating as well, because it is little bit disheartening if people are not getting job or whatever they want, they are not getting it, but just not to lose patience and keep going. So thank
Yes.
you so much for all your insights, your guidance, your motivation. It will definitely help all the audience who are watching this video. So thank you so much for it.
Thanks a lot, Shilpa. I think it was a great discussion and a very good set of questions. I hope audience gets something from this interview. Thanks again for
Thank you.
inviting me.
Thanks. Have a good day.
You too. Take care.
Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. I hope this conversation with Shashwat Shenoy would have given you a new perspective and a practical direction how you need to grow in your career. And if you found this episode helpful, do share it with your friends and someone who is trying to grow in this data engineering field. And don't forget to follow this channel in order to get more podcasts with experts related to technical and data architects and managers. And if you want to learn data engineering as well, you can go ahead and learn it from the free YouTube channel that I have. As well as if you want to connect with me directly, you can also connect with the top mate. I'll pin that in the description as well. And don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to the channel. Till the next podcast, stay tuned, stay curious, and keep learning. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you have a good day.